Let's first talk about what the line you draw ought to look like. Let's say we wanted to make something like a vase. Now, I mentioned in the last video that the shape you draw should be basically one half of the outline of your object, in this case that vase. See if you can use this visual to make better sense out of this. Pick up your vase, put it on the table, and then position a piece of drawing paper behind the vase. I then want you to get your chin down on the table and then draw the outline around the vase itself. Once you have that outline, simply cut it right down the middle. Maybe you can better make sense of this if I draw it on the screen. Now remember, the viewport we use to draw it in is going to make all the difference in the world. For this one, I'm going to suggest we use the left-hand view. Let's go ahead and activate the viewport, make it full screen, and let's see now what we can do. Now I'm going to suggest to you that you use the heavy black vertical grid line here as kind of the point from where this thing will spin. Let's go to our line command. We'll start by dropping a vertex down at the bottom right up against that line and then pulling to the right. We'll then come up, kind of bend it around, and then click to finish off our vase. Go ahead and right-click to cancel. Now, do you notice the way that I did not bring the end of that line back to the heavy vertical line in the middle? If I did, the vase would not be open at the top. Imagine now if I spun this 360 degrees. Can you get an idea of what this would actually look like? Let's go ahead and save this out. We'll call this Object Vase. Now, what I'd like you to do, we're going to try a couple more on this. Let's go ahead and right-click on this, and let's say Hide Selection. Now, why don't we try this one instead? Let's say something like a soup bowl. Again, the soup bowl is solid at the bottom and hollow at the top. So again, we'll start our line down at the bottom. I'll come to the side, and then I'll kind of bow this around, but keeping it away from that center line. Again, imagine spinning this thing 360 degrees. Can you get an idea of what that looked like? Very good. Let's go ahead and name this one. We'll call this bowl. And we'll hide this. Right-click on the surface and say Hide Selection. Now we're going to switch things up and think about something like a table leg. It's not hollow on the top nor on the bottom, so in both of these instances I want my line to come back to my heavy vertical spin line in the middle. Let's see what I can do on this. We'll come at the bottom, maybe make a little base for this thing, come up, and then back over. Now it's going to be a little bit thick in this area here. You can imagine this spinning 360. Probably look more like a bowling pin than it would be a table leg, but get the idea. It's going to be solid on the top and solid on the bottom. Let's go ahead and save this up, and let's give this the name leg. Again, what's doing so, let's right-click on that and hide. Selected. Now, one last one. What I'm trying to do is to show you some different examples of where you'd want it to come back to the line and where you wouldn't. Take something like a bottle cap, or maybe the top to a pill bottle. It's solid on the top. Now, it's hollow on the bottom, but it's still kind of solid on the bottom. It's almost concaved in. See if this makes sense. Again, I'm going to start at the top of this. I'm going to pull to my right. I'm going to come down here like this. Now, watch what I do. I actually come back to the middle and then cancel that out. So imagine this spinning 360 degrees. Could you see now securing this down to the top of a bottle? So now you can get a better idea of how you'd actually draw all these lines. So in each of these cases, we simply drew the outline or profile of half the shape, kind of like a cross-section piece if you want to think about it that way, and that's what ends up getting lathed. Now that we've got the shapes under control, we'll take a look at adding the lathe modifier in our next video. Let's go ahead and get to that.